Today, we're going to look at a destroyer fit that's designed to allow any player who is new to Abyssal Deadspace content in EVE Online to dip their toes into it more quickly, more safely, and more cheaply than ever before. In September of 2020, patch 18.09 was released, which gave us some exciting new content for Abyssal Deadspace. So ever since 2 months ago, we've been able to take destroyers into the Abyss, as well as enter a new tier called Tranquil, or T0. T0 Abyss is designed to be for beginners, but understandably, the Abyss may still be daunting to new players who don't know what's in there. So I'm hoping this video will show you how you can get started complete with a solid ship fit, as well as some examples of what encounters you'll have and how to deal with them. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Coercer, which is a destroyer belonging to the Amarr faction. The information in this video can be used to pilot destroyers from other factions, but today I'm going to keep it specific and look at just the Coercer. Let me know if you want me to cover the other faction destroyers by leaving a comment below. Let's continue. First, let's go in depth on what modules to fit. There's a lot of flexibility and scalability to be had here, so feel free to customize your fit as you continue to learn more and gain skills. However, I've tested various fits over 100 runs, and I've found that this build has the best balance of power, safety, and accessibility that makes it perfect for beginners. For our high slots, we have 8 turret hardpoints, so we'll be fitting 8 dual modulated light energy beam 1 lasers. This is the most powerful Tech 1 meta variant of the dual beam lasers. If you don't know about meta variants, you can right click the desired module, check info, and see what the variants are. These are all the same type of module with slightly different stats. For our turrets, the Meta 5 variant provides crucial additional capacitor efficiency, damage, and most importantly, range. For this reason, I don't recommend taking any of the lesser dual beam laser variants as a new pilot, even though these turrets are the most expensive. Don't worry, once you get going, you'll be earning enough money to pay off the entire ship within the hour. For our laser crystals, we'll be taking 2 types, Tech 1 Standard and Tech 1 Multi-Frequency. We'll be using Standard to hit all of our targets up to about 20 kilometers, as well as minimize capacitor usage, and we'll be switching to Multi-Frequency on anything within its 50% reduced range to deal substantially more damage. In our mid slot, we're going to fit an Afterburner, which will allow us to move a little over 500 meters per second. I'm fitting an Enduring Afterburner, but it doesn't really matter which one. Just keep in mind not to fit a civilian Afterburner. Don't use civilian equipment, they're basically worthless. In our second mid slot, we're going to fit a small, compact, lead-acid cat battery. This is going to give us a bigger capacitor. This ship uses a lot of capacitor to fire its 8 guns, so a bigger capacitor will help make our energy levels more stable. And we're using this specific module because new players can fit this one right away. No need to train other skills. In our low slots, we're going to fit a small armor repair module, so we can repair our ship's armor. I'm using the small IA Enduring Armor Repairer 1. For destroyers in T0 Abyss, most of our tank is coming from the fact that our health pool is already pretty large to begin with, so that's why we're only going to fit 1 armor repairer. We're not trying to out-repair the incoming damage, we're just looking to outlast our enemies and top off our health pool between waves. For our next low slots, we'll add 2 extruded compact heatsinks. This is pretty easy to explain, it's extra damage for our laser turrets. Now for our rigs. To increase the safety and usability of our ship, we're going to fit 3 small capacitor control unit 1s. This will further increase the speed at which our capacitor recharges. Let's talk about the required skills. In order to pilot my recommended fit, you're going to need to train the following: Amarr Frigate from level 1 to level 3, and then Amarr Destroyer 1 so we can start piloting the ship. Then the only other skill we need is Repair Systems 1 to equip our Armor Repairer. In summary, the total training time is just above 18 hours for free alpha characters. A lot of players suggest creating a new account and using a referral code to get 1 million skill points free, which is really good. It saves about 40 days of training, but it's not necessary to fly this ship. The character you're seeing here has barely above 400,000 skill points, and all of the ship stats you saw in this video are similar to what you'll see with barebones skills. It'll only get better than this as you train up. Not to mention that by the time you finish your tutorial and career agent missions, you'll have more than enough ISK to buy the entire fit, as well as sufficient piloting skills to fly it safely. Seriously, as long as you know about approach, orbit, and keep distance, you'll be just fine in T0 Abyss. Now let's go out onto the field and discuss battle strategy and review some specific encounters. Alright, we're back on the main server, and this is going to be an unscripted part of the video. Hopefully I don't sound completely incoherent. So I hope you guys don't mind. My character does have more skill points now, but it's all skills that have nothing to do with this build. As you can see, I still have the same exact stats in regards to the Coercer we're going to talk about here. So there shouldn't be any differences, right? Still the same amount of DPS and all that good stuff. So what we're going to do here, first, in order to get into the Abyss, we need to buy or find filaments. And for T0, we're going to look at tranquil filaments. So go into the market. It's not going to look like this. It's going to probably going to be a lot smaller too, actually. So it might look something like this. So we're going to go to the search bar and type in filament. Sorry, not filament, tranquil. And that'll get us exactly these 5 items. We're going to go for tranquil firestorm. We're doing firestorm because the bonuses that firestorm gives benefit us in 2 different ways. And if you want to know the difference between these all lead to the same tier, tranquil. So you'll have the same enemies, you'll have the same encounters, but each of these 5 have different quirks when you enter them. So if we show info here, maybe it'll show us. Yeah, so it'll explain here. It reduces thermal resistance but enhances ship armor strength. So that's doubly good for us because our secondary damage is, as you can see, the red icon, 22 HP thermal per laser shot, and our ship armor is going to get increased by about 50%, so 500 extra armor. And remember, this ship is meant to tank just with the size of its armor and a little bit of help from an armor repairer. So the Firestorm filament is a great one to do. The other one you could do is probably electrical. If you want to do electrical, you just switch out one of these compact heat sinks with a second armor repairer, and that might work, but I don't recommend it, especially for newer players. For newer players, you're going to want to find a Firestorm filament. So if we look around the market, Firestorm is usually the cheaper one, but here it looks like Dark is the cheapest right now. So we're going to go ahead and just buy a few of these filaments. You need 2 filaments in order to enter the Abyss as a destroyer. You only need one filament to enter as a cruiser, and you need 3 filaments to enter as a frigate. And the reason is that the Abyss is actually designed for small fleets. So you can go in as a solo cruiser, but the Abyss is intended to be run by 2 destroyers or 3 frigates, and if you want to solo it, you have to form a fleet with yourself, use 2 filaments for the 2 people who would normally do the Abyssal Deadspace content, and then just go in alone. That's kind of how it works. So we need to buy 2. I'm not going to worry about the gouged price. That's none of my concern right now. We're going to go to item hanger. I already have a few from previous runs, but we're going to take our Tranquil Firestorm, take 2, and there's nothing else we need to take, so we go ahead and undock, and I'll show you how to activate the filament. It's actually a little bit of a process. So what we do here, and before I close this, notice the price, 3.8 million on the fitting window. If you try to buy it in Amarr, I recently tried to buy it in Amarr, it's a little over 5 mil in Amarr prices as of making this video. I don't really mind, but that's something to keep in mind. It's not going to be exactly 3.8 mil. So we're going to warp somewhere. We're going to click Control B, and during the middle of the warp, just somewhere during the warp, we're going to click OK, and that will create a marker in the middle of space. Filaments are not allowed to be activated within 1,000 kilometers of another structure. You can use this window. I don't need to exactly show you where the saved location is, but we do need to be able to locate the saved location. So what you can do, the easiest way to do it is to press L. Once you press L, the saved locations would probably show up here. I drag it to the top, and it's pretty nice. So we'll warp to that spot in Amarr, because that's where we're at right now. We'll edit the location. I like to name mine Filament 1, Filament 2, and so forth. So we'll warp to the location, and we will enter the filament there. Before we go in, let me just discuss what exactly it is that we're going to do. So by default, we'll just have the standard ammo loaded, and with the standard ammo, we'll be able to hit most of the things in the room. And there are some that, if you do it enough, you'll just know that they'll orbit even closer than 10 kilometers. If they end up being closer than 10 kilometers, then you'll switch to multi-frequency. And this is something that you'll have to continue to pay attention to. Again, Abyss is, it can be simple, but you still have to pay attention. So keep paying attention to that range. If it dips below, say, 9 kilometers, feel free to switch to multi-frequency so you do more damage. And then if they run away from you and start going towards the further end of your fall-off range, you're going to be doing more damage with standard, so just switch back to standard. We're going to go to the fitting window, and let me show you something. When we have multi-frequency on, let me show you this capacitor. It says it depletes in 2 minutes and 16 seconds with the multi-frequency, the laser crystals. What that means is when we're shooting all 8 lasers and have our Afterburner on and have our armor repair cycling all at the same time, from 100% to 0, it'll take 2 minutes and 16 seconds to completely deplete our capacitor. If we turn our armor repairer off, it's stable, even when we're shooting all 8 multi-frequency lasers. It's only unstable when we have everything running at once. So if you don't need to run your armor repairer, as in your full armor, and you have a good amount of shield, you don't have to run the armor repairer, and then just start the armor repairer once you deplete your shields and are taking armor damage. The other thing to note is with this build, if you switch to standard, you have what's essentially capacitor stability. It's barely not capacitor stable, and once you upgrade to Amarr Destroyer 2, it actually will be capacitor stable, but with the minimum skills, you'll have enough capacitor that it will run out in 20 minutes, which is effectively cap stable anyway for us in our case, because in the Abyss you can only run for 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes to run the whole thing. So even if you have your capacitor running the whole time with your armor repair module on and your enduring afterburner and you're shooting stuff constantly with standard, you'll never run out of capacitor as long as your capacitor doesn't get drained by certain special ships that don't appear in T0 Abyss, basically, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, hope I explained that enough. Hope that wasn't too long of an explanation. We're going to activate. Oh, before we activate it, it says activate for fleet, right? So we need to go into activate fleet, so we can right-click the ship and pilot form fleet with. And so that'll form a fleet with just ourselves. We close this, and we wait for the game to update and know that we're in a fleet. Now we can click it. We're just going to deploy. I'm going to stop the ship so I don't fly off into the distance. And here we go. Activate gate. And another window will show up, and click activate. Hopefully it will jump us on the first try. Yes, it did. Okay. And if it doesn't work the first time, just keep clicking it until it lets you in. I don't know why, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, for real, in we go. I'm doing another run because the last run was really lame. All we got were the easiest waves. So the first thing we do, the moment we go in, we're going to approach the Triglavian Combinative Cache. Cache, I think it's cache. Striking Damavik. This is something that is actually surprisingly hard. There's nothing special about the Striking Damavik, but it does hit surprisingly hard. So, right, I forgot, we're supposed to Afterburner towards the cache, and we're supposed to start hitting this almost right away. And we're going to start with standard. This is our typical shot, but observe closely whatever you're fighting. If the target is under 9 kilometers away from you, so 9,000 meters or less, go ahead and stop shooting the standard and switch to your multi-frequency. So now we'll be doing more damage. And so we're taking a big blow to our shield, and we're about to dip into armor. So I'm going to start my armor repairer right now. And with the armor repairer and our bigger armor, what do you call it, buffer, we should be able to just go straight towards the cache and make it out alive. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start orbiting the cache, just so that I don't bump into the cache and start moving completely, because then the Striking Damavik will have an easier time dealing damage. But down it goes, so let's approach again. I should have targeted this so it doesn't take as much time, but that's fine. We hit it with the multi-frequency, goes down in one hit. Oh, lag, whoa, hey. And here we go. We get a few filaments and 4 Triglavian surveys for our first loot box, which is pretty good. These electricals, if you're... Oh, this is calm electrical, never mind. This tranquil electrical, if you don't want to do electrical, you can just sell them. They're pretty good money. So we don't need to run the armor repair right now, so we'll turn it off. We'll switch back to standard and jump. So Striking Damavik is one of those that you have to pay attention to. If you're sleeping, you will get killed by the Striking Damavik. That has happened to me. Lucid Escort is, I would say, on the same level as Striking Damavik, or kind of the same tier. It's nothing really special. This guy moves fast, and he deals damage, but he fires fast and very small shots. So he's not as threatening as the Striking Damavik, but again, he can do stuff if you're not paying attention. Just do the same thing. Actually, you don't even really need to use multi-frequency. We can here, but let me just show you that standard is a good first step, simply because standard also does okay amounts of damage. I think the way we fit our ship does, yeah, almost 100 DPS. If we take out one of the heat sinks, then it gets to a little questionable DPS territory. 85 is not very good DPS at all. And you definitely don't even want to try doing T0 Abyss if you have less than 70 DPS. Don't even try. You're gonna end up eventually coming across something that you can't beat. And so what are the things that are a little harder? If you have 70 DPS, what is an example of something that you won't be able to beat? Basically anything with the name Disparu in it. If you're not in Firestorm, like let's say you try Gamma or Exotic and you come across a Disparu in this exact fit with those very minimum skills, you're probably going to die. There are 2 different types that I've come across. There's attack pacifier Disparu troop and Skybreaker. Skybreaker is definitely the more... Oh my goodness, speak of the devil. Skybreaker Disparu Troop is definitely, it's 100% the hardest in the game. Definitely pay attention. We are going to continue with light energy beams. We're going to turn off our capacitor, and I'm a little worried that our shield is so low, but this is the one where we do something a little bit different. So the Skybreaker's coming in real fast, and I should have done that a little while earlier, but we should, as soon as you can, start keeping distance at 20 kilometers. So the Skybreaker, okay, I'm already dipping into armor. I have to activate my armor module. The Skybreaker is a little special in that it has an electric beam, and it hits anything that's within 20 kilometers, or just short of 20 kilometers. I think it has a range of about 19.2 kilometers. So, yeah, so if you notice, as we're around 20 kilometers, it doesn't really hit us. So this is what we're going to do, and this is why we specifically have our DPS so high. So we have 2 compact heat sinks for this exact reason, and we have standard with dual modulated light energy beam ones, and no lesser for this exact scenario. So we want to stay at 20 kilometers and just whittle it down from this range of safety. So now that the shield is down, let me do something really, really stupid and go further into its range. See, immediately it starts shooting me again. 300 damage, really, really massive damage. 180. I don't like this at all. I'm going back out. I don't like this. Right. So that's the strategy. Once you get better skills, and once you get more damage or stuff like that, yeah, basically better skills, like you can move faster or hit further or just straight up do more damage. You could approach and just switch to multi-frequency and just beat it down like that. I have done that before on other characters, but as a minimum fit, this is the reason why I fit it exactly this way. On a brand new character, this is the way to beat the Skybreaker. So I'm really glad I came across that. That's only the 6th time or so out of over 100 runs that I've ever come across that. And that's definitely the hardest wave. So just about everything else, as long as you're looking at your range and switching to multi-frequency when you can, and staying in standard, making sure your capacitor doesn't run out, and you're running your armor repair unnecessarily, while also shooting multi-frequency. As long as you're not doing that, you should be fine. The only way to really die to anything below, say, a Disparu troop is if you're shooting your multi-frequency when you don't realize that they're outside of your range, so you're dealing 0 damage and you're running your armor repair, you find yourself with 0 capacitor, so all of a sudden your Afterburner turns off, they catch up to you and they just shred you while you're desperately trying to get some capacitor back to do anything. I've died a couple times like that. As long as you're paying attention, you should be fine. So I hope that was exciting for you guys. It was exciting for me. I can't believe I ran into a Skybreaker as I was recording this video. That's wonderful. So let's take a look at our loot. So within 3 rooms, you're going to get an average in T0 of around 500,000 ISK. So I don't sell these filaments, I use them. So the only thing I consider as loot are the Triglavian surveys, 0-point condensates, and there's one other, some sort of gray mineral item I forget the name of. So if we just select these, it seems that we have a loot of 1.27 million ISK. So if we run this 3 or 4 times, we will have paid our ship back. And as you increase your skills, of course, this ship only gets better and better. I think on my main character, this same ship fit, instead of doing 150 damage on its multi-frequency, it does over 200. So let's take a look. I think, yeah, this one does barely under 150. As you increase your skills, you're going to do a lot more DPS. So hope you found that exciting. This is my fit. I hope it works for you. Let me know in the comments how it goes. Oh yeah, and one more thing. If you come across a Villa Damavik with Villa Swarmers, just ignore the Swarmers. If you destroy the ship that is controlling the Swarmers, they'll just stop attacking. So there's that. All right, cool. I am gonna go watch Ace Face's beginner guide video. It came out like yesterday or 2 days ago, and I've been holding off on watching it because I really wanted to make this video and I didn't want to get influenced by his video, so I'm so excited to watch that. If you haven't watched it, go check that out too. It's probably awesome. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.